Okay, so you said that when you're at work, you really worry that you're going to say something stupid.
Yeah, that's something that's always on my mind.
And what would be so bad about that if you did say something stupid at work?
Because people would think I was weird.
Then what would be so bad if people at work thought you were weird?
They wouldn't want to be friends with me.
And what would be so bad about that if people at work didn't want to be friends with you?
Well, I just have no one to talk to at work.
Then what would be so bad about having no one to talk to at work?
I mean, the shoots can go on the whole day, so I'd just be by myself the whole time.
And what would be so bad about being by yourself, for a whole day?
I don't know, I guess I should be used to it now. I spend a lot of my time by myself. So.
Oh, that must be tough. What does that mean to you, that you spend a lot of time on your own?
I don't know, I guess it's just like I spend so much time by myself that it's kind of like I'm not even worth being friends with.
So it sounds like deep down that you think that you're not worth being friends with. And it's quite a negative belief. I mean, how much would you say that you believe that out of 100? If 100 is where you believe it totally and 0 is where you don't believe it at all?
I guess like 90 out of 100.
When did you start believing that?
I think it was probably at school. Yeah, I think at school.
And what was it about school that made you start to believe that you weren't worth being friends with?
Just like quite a lot of things, like I wouldn't have anyone sit with at lunch, or like people's birthdays and stuff I wasn't invited, and like I was the last one picked for teams and stuff like that.
And what is it now that makes you think that that's still true?
I mean, it's kind of similar at work. Obviously, difference is that it's work, not school, but like people go for drinks and stuff after work or after a shoot, and I'm just kind of excluded a lot of the time.
That sounds tough. Is there anything that makes you think that it's not true, that you are worth being friends with?
I guess my friends and family would say that I am. Like I try to make a lot of time for my friends and stuff.
Okay, so it sounds like deep down you have this thought that you're not worth being friends with, and that started at school when you had trouble making friends at school, and that you weren't always picked for teams, and that now at work it feels like the same thing is happening, that you're not always invited out for drinks with people after work, and that sometimes you feel that you're excluded from their social groups. But then that's not the whole story, that on the other hand you are close to family and you do have friends who would say that it's not true, that you are worth being friends with. In CBT we do a thing called thought challenging, where when we have these negative thoughts, sometimes we actually put them up to scrutiny, we weigh up the evidence for and against them. I like to think of it as putting the thought on trial.
Okay.
Could we do that now, where we just actually try and weigh up the evidence for and against that thought a bit more?
Okay.
Okay. So if I just put 2 columns here, so for and against, and it sounds like the evidence for this thought that makes you think that it is true is difficulty at school, making friends, being picked for teams, and difficulty at work, feeling excluded sometimes from groups.
Yeah.
But actually in this other column, we have that you are close with your family and that you have some close friends. Okay, now moving back to this first column, is there anything else that makes you think it's true that you're not worth being friends with?
Just like I kind of don't go to a lot of stuff. People have like gatherings and things, and a lot of the time I don't go, and rather just stay at home.
Don't go to parties. What kind of parties are we talking, like big parties, small parties?
Mainly big ones. If there's a lot of people there, I just find it kind of makes me really anxious, so a lot of the time I just prefer not even to be in that situation in the first place.
Okay, so you don't go to larger parties and events. Okay, is there anything else that maybe makes you think that it's not true, that actually you are worth being friends with?
I mean, I guess my friends would say that I was. I do have close friends, and you know, when it's like their stuff that's important to them, I always make sure that I think about that, and even if I find it stressful, I'll always make sure that I can kind of put them first.
Okay, so your friends would say that you are worth being friends with,
Yeah.
and it sounds like you put your friends first.
Yeah, I do make sure I try and do that.
In what kind of ways do you put your friends first?
I guess when it's birthdays or, you know, it's something important to them, I'll always make sure that I'm there and that I put a lot of thought into presents and stuff like that.
Can you give me an example of a time that you've done that?
It was my friend's birthday a few weeks ago, and we did like a big surprise at hers, and I made a cake and stuff like that. So
you actually helped to organise events for your friends.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do that you wouldn't do if you weren't a good friend?
I guess that I kind of always put myself in a situation, even if I find it it makes me anxious. If it's for my close friends and I know that it's something that's important to them, then I'll always put them first and make sure I'm there.
So you'll tolerate your anxiety if it means something to a friend of yours?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the moment in the 4 category, we've got that you had difficulty making friends at school, that you're having difficulty now at work making friends, and that you don't go to larger parties or events. But actually, there's a lot of evidence in the against column, evidence that would suggest that actually you are worth being friends with and you're a good friend, that you're close with your family, you're close with your friends. Your friends would say that you're a good friend. You put your friends first. Even when you're anxious, you tolerate that anxiety if you know it will mean something to them. That when things are important to your friends, like birthdays, you'll make a real effort. You'll even actually go to the effort of organising events and baking cakes and doing things like that for other people. Is there anything else that you do that makes you think that maybe you are a good friend, you are worth being friends with?
I mean, I still have my friends, so I guess if I wasn't worth being friends with, I wouldn't have these friends that I've had for quite a long time.
Okay, so it sounds like you've got long-term friendships as well, so that you might have trouble making friends, but when you make them, you stick with them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to give you this list now to have a look at.
Okay.
How do you feel now that you're looking at that list?
It's weird. There's actually kind of more stuff in the against than there is in the for. I guess also a lot of the stuff that is in the for column is kind of things that I make happen. Like I don't go to things. Yeah, it seems like some of it's kind of in my hands. So
it's not that you're not worth being friends with, but actually that you're choosing not to engage with people always.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And if I was to ask you now, you know, this idea that you're not worth being friends with, how much do you believe that now that we've done this exercise, where 100 is where you really believe that you're not worth being friends with, and 0 is that you don't believe it?
I guess I'd say maybe 40. I think I do still think that it might be true, but I think I believe it less than I did before.